Look at this guy. This guy stands up.
You're
I was trying to look for my water. I'm trying to find my water.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Six Rings Kane show here. Back at it again as we begin ACC play. Oh my God, everybody's so excited. I can tell. Wow, look at that, man. Joined live by Paul Austria, who decides to bless us with his presence all the way
Once a
from the
month.
West Coast, I think, right? Are you on the West Coast?
Yes, I'm in
There you go.
Portland.
All the way from Portland, Oregon. Then we've got Globetrotters here today, man. We've got Vish all the way from Washington, D.C. We've got Danny Gillette over there in the Northeast. And then this guy over here in Miami. Unbelievable, man. I love this. I love this. Thanks everybody for joining up. Make sure everybody that is watching, the four of you, I guess. I don't even know how many are. Go ahead and subscribe to the link on Five Reasons Sports YouTube and give us a thumbs up. We do appreciate it, as we got a lot to talk about today. Pretty excited, actually, because I'm going to be honest with you, right? I mean, aside from Miami Hurricanes football, man, I love college football this year. I don't know about you guys, but I love what's going on in college football because really, even at this point, nobody is safe, man. Like, Alabama could lose this weekend to Ole Miss, and nobody would bat an eye because – I mean, college football is just crazy right now with everybody, all these top 25 programs losing, top 10 programs losing, people that we haven't seen in the top 25 all of a sudden. And Coastal Carolina's kicking everybody's ass. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So it's really exciting to see, though, because I love it when college football is like this. The only thing we need is for Miami and USC to be relevant again, and then we'll be all right. Hopefully we can get there soon. We'll see. Who knows? I know, Vish, you've got some strong opinions about that, and I'm sure Paul and Danny do as well. So, but before we even get to Virginia, Miami, well, actually, I mean, I guess this has to do with Virginia, Miami, right? Is a little bit about what we saw from last week's game against Central Connecticut State. Obviously, more of a confidence building game, really, than anything else. A chance to get all the young kids in, get them meaningful snaps, right? Before they decide that they want to transfer. So, I mean, look, it was exciting to see a lot of those kids out there. Will we see all of them out there tomorrow night? Probably not, but we may see a good amount of them, right? We know De'Aaron King is more than likely going to be out, so we're probably going to get a start from TVD. We also know, I don't know if you guys know this, but recently just heard that Jake Garcia has been walking around in the boot, but he's also been walking around in the boot around campus for a little bit, nursing that ankle. I think it's an ankle that he's had, a little bit of an issue with. So I don't know if that's, kind of like a sign that he's not going to get any playing time tomorrow. But I think that's maybe just for precautionary reasons. Talk to me a little bit about what you saw last week. Moving into this week, is anything going to translate? Can we take anything away from that game? We'll start with you, Vish.
So I think the thing, obviously the opponent matters, but I think one of the things we did see was just the explosive plays coming back. And look, you're playing against a team where you're physically outmatching them, so it's easier to do that. But I think that the big difference here was that we were able to block. And Rhett Lashley looks a lot smarter when you can block. Because, I mean, you look some of those same plays we ran, in particular the wide receiver bubble screens, which is a huge part of this offense, has not worked this year. Long plays, touchdowns off of those plays because the receivers were blocking. And
by the way, at least we didn't run it in the end zone, right? Damn, I had to throw it in there. I had to.
Oh God, you had to take a shot at the Dolphins, really,
Yeah,
man?
I know, right? I had to. I'm sorry.
But I mean, so that's what stood out to me. It was just like if they can get some confidence blocking, that's going to make a world of difference going forward. Because then you can run the ball, then you can do those de facto run plays, which are just those long handoffs to the receiver, and get 5-6 yards. It makes life so much easier because then they can't pin their ears back on those second and third and logs. So to me, that was. I mean, it's expected. If you couldn't do that against Central Connecticut State, just fold it up. But it was good to see it at least once, and then hopefully that'll translate for you, get some confidence, especially with the young receivers that were out there blocking. I know we're not sure what the rotation is going to look like. I think we can all agree that Wiggins should not be in it. He managed to somehow drop another pass in that game. It's like enough.
Unbelievable.
But you get some of those young kids out there making plays, like especially on the perimeter, and blocking. That makes a big difference. One of the things we've really struggled this year is perimeter blocking. Hurt the running game and the passing game, and they were hitting people. And we haven't seen some of our seniors doing that, which is kind of weird because they did last year. So it's the same players. So that's what I took away. The rest of it, I mean, we're faster than them, we're bigger than them. I mean, I thought the defense didn't look that great. A lot of mistakes, but couldn't. Central Connecticut State obviously can't capitalize on it. But overall, like the one encouraging thing I saw was we got physical, and that's kind of the thing that I've been most disappointed with this year is whether it's App State or Michigan State or Alabama, they just pushed us around physically.
Yeah,
we still beat App
physicality.
State, but we didn't meet them physically. And obviously Central Connecticut State's a huge step down, but at least we went out there and pushed them around. So Virginia's actually pretty bad on the defensive front. So looking ahead, hopefully we can push them around as well.
Paul, I know we haven't heard from you in a bit, man. So what'd you see in that game that could possibly translate over? How are you feeling? And you know what? We can kind of, and Vish kind of jumped into it a little bit also, is the depth chart. Look, I don't read too much into the depth chart. I just think it's, Manny and the staff kind of, gamesmanship, right? But there are some things of concern. And, I spoke about it earlier with John from the Canes blog, who's actually going to join us in about 5 minutes here or so. We spoke about that a little bit on his show about any concerns that you saw on the depth chart and what can you see them carrying over to this game that's going to be effective and be able to work.
It's weird because I think obviously a lot of fans are disappointed every week when the depth chart comes out. There's always at least maybe 3 or 4 things that makes you just shake your head and wonder what are coaches even seeing or looking at. I kind of just hope that as time goes on, let's say the seniors don't play as well, and you kind of notice that the freshmen are kind of playing with a little more fire, especially with the receivers, especially even with the safeties, then that reflects in the depth chart. Now, I think this was a good game for Miami just because it kind of reestablished the confidence that they know that they can beat teams and that they can be this good. Now it's just a matter of actually doing that against a good team, or at least no offense to Central Connecticut State, but a formidable opponent, especially in conference play. And like you guys mentioned the conference is basically wide open right now. Clemson last week lost to Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they lost to NC State.
NC State. Who did Georgia Tech beat? It was
UNC.
North Carolina?
UNC, yeah, North Carolina.
Man, Paul goes to the West Coast, he loses touch on roots.
Yeah. By the way, do you know who the starting quarterback is for the Miami Hurricanes? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, does anyone?
Yeah, I guess we really don't know. Actually, that's not really a good question.
Not a good example, man.
Yeah, not a good example, really.
Funny enough, it's been just kind of interesting hearing the stuff that people think about Cristobal and overall the Oregon fans here and what they think of him, and I just feel like he's not leaving anytime soon. But anyways, I think this game was good. I think that TVD looked great. 270 yards on only 10 completed passes. I mean, he was a beast. I still think that TVD, if King, obviously we're going to assume that King isn't ready for this week. I think TVD should be the guy. I definitely trust him as a passer right now more so than anything. And it was just nice to see a lot of the young receivers kind of step up. I mean, you saw that nice touchdown catch from Jacoby George. He looked great. Brinson, you can't miss that. You couldn't miss that catch from Brinson. That was an amazing catch. Who am I missing? Oh, and Brashard Smith looked great as well. I think overall, I still think blocking is a concern just as a general thing, because I kind of caught some clips where Will Mallory was being manhandled, and I feel like I barely saw Will Mallory in this game. I thought you didn't have a catch.
I kept hearing I was going to say Bronson Arroyo. Wow.
Whoa, okay.
Danny, Bronson Arroyo, Danny. Woo!
Wow, okay.
Elijah Arroyo. I felt like I kept hearing Elijah Arroyo's name all day. So I don't even remember Will Mallory seeing much of
no catches.
Will Mallory. Yeah,
no catches.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. But and by the way, we brought in here John from the Canes blog. John, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We were talking about this on your show a little while ago. As far as the depth chart is concerned, right? If you had any concerns, or if it's just gamesmanship by Manny, right? You kind of mentioned that also. But if there's anything that you wanted to see from, kind of carry over from CCSU, some things that you like, obviously, we know that's a confidence building game, but if there's anything that you kind of I guess just coming into ACC conference play, what do you want to see coming in based off of that game and just moving forward now?
Well, the first thing is I saw the running game kind of got going a little bit, and I know some of that had to do with Ja'Kai Clark being in there, and some of that had to do with using our backs that can actually break tackles in Thad Franklin and Cody Brown. Yeah, like I need to see more of that. Not that Cam Harris shouldn't get any touches. He should be used more in space, I think. But definitely, you got to get that running game going. And now you got Rashard Smith you can use. You got Jalen Knighton who's coming back for this game. If we get any kind of a running game going, not only do I think we win this game, I think we go on a winning streak if we can get the running game going.
Well, yeah, I mean, running the ball. I mean, man, if you can run the ball, you're going to be hard to beat, especially with the guys that you have at wide receiver. And Danny, kind of, like I want to kind of go to you on this because Paul mentioned a little bit, John mentioned a little bit. Ja'Kai Clark, I think, was huge. I think that the fact that Garen Justice, still kind of says, hey, well, we want to try to redshirt him and try to get him playing time here and there. I don't know if you could afford to do that anymore. I think that at this point, the ACC is so wide open, and there's, it's really a free for all. Anybody can win this on both sides. You got to play your best players at all times. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the thing with TVD and Paul, you mentioned, yeah, he went, completed 10 passes and threw for over 270 yards. We got to remember though, a lot of that was dump passes too, right? So what I want to see is him go down the field a little bit more than just the intermediate routes. Danny, what do you think was the biggest thing that you liked that you saw at not only the running game but from TVD and some of the other guys?
I liked how when I watched the game, it seemed like a lot of the receivers were getting into the action. You had, Rashard Smith, and you had Cameron Harris out of the backfield, Xavier Restrepo. It seemed like over the course of the game, everybody was at least getting a touch and getting involved. And when I went back and looked at the box score, it was pretty even, honestly, in terms of production. Smith had, I believe it was 91 yards or 81 yards, 91 yards, something like that. And then Cameron Harris had a little over 80. Restrepo had 75. There wasn't one specific weapon or, receiver that Miami relied on. They kind of spread the ball around. And I think it's going to be important heading into ACC play for everybody to really get involved because, like you guys mentioned, this is the first time in probably, I'd say, at least 5 or 6 years that the ACC is wide open. So now would be a good time to take advantage of the players you have on the roster and try to maximize every opportunity you can because who knows? I mean, this college football year, like you guys alluded to, has been wild. And if Miami can continue to get solid production from, as many players as possible, then I think they could have a good shot to really kind of play the role of spoilers in the conference.
Yeah. Look, could they realistically win the rest of the games? I mean, look, I know a lot of us, are kind of skeptical about it and say, well, they're bound to screw it up somehow, right?
They should.
They should. What, they should screw it up somehow?
No. Well, if it wasn't already screwed up enough.
Yeah. Right. So I mean,
been through enough.
Should they? Yes. And actually, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of the so-called experts that are still giving Miami a shot to win the ACC. So here's the thing, right? It starts tomorrow, and this is a tough team, regardless of whether they're 0-2 in the conference or not. Virginia is always, first of all, they always play Miami tough. Second of all, Bronco Mendenhall is an excellent coach. He's going to have these guys ready to go. I'll kind of start this. We'll go around. We'll start with John this time because I really want to kind of mention now we're getting into tomorrow night's game. A big conference game. Is this kind of, and I want to throw it out there because it's what a lot of people are thinking about. Is this kind of that hot seat moment for Manny Diaz? If he loses to Virginia, number one, is he gone? Or number two, is he in jeopardy of being fired?
I think if he loses, he's gone. I got that weird feeling that this year they're going to want to make a change. They're going to want to make a change quickly if losing continues. And I think going 2-3 for I think it would be the second time in his tenure that he starts 2-3, which I wouldn't. I thought growing up watching this team, I never thought in my lifetime I'd say that, but here we are. So if that happens, I think he gets the axe and they go to an interim coach and they start their search now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Vish, do you think he's gone if he loses to Virginia? And what do you do? What do you do if he does get let go?
I'll answer the second question first. He should be. Like Virginia, I know you said they're formidable. They're bad. Like they got blown out twice.
Well, wait, I didn't say they're formidable. I said that they always play Miami.
One of you guys said formidable. Maybe it was Paul. You said they
it was me.
right? Yeah.
Paul, listen, Paul's on the West Coast. We can't really listen to what he's talking about.
That's true. He's on Pacific time. No, but like they've been bad. Like they got blown out twice in the ACC. North Carolina put up almost 60 points on them. They have no pass rush. They have no run defense. They have 5 sacks in 4 games, and they played William and Mary in one of those games. Like for all the matchups for Miami, like this one is the one where their offensive line has to be able to win. Like this Virginia defensive front stinks. So if you can't win that game, and to John's point, we're going into a bye week, you got to pull the trigger now. You can't let this fester. Like that, this is a must win, I feel. And you know what? If you can win this, you get the bye week, you can kind of reset the season a little bit. You're undefeated. It's 1-0, but you're undefeated in conference play. Maybe you can like get some momentum, carry it through the bye week, and really come back, hit the ground running for the 7-game sprint to the end. So this is kind of like a pivot game, especially since we know, I mean, I hate to say this, but at least the last, 10 years, once these seasons start going bad, they don't recover them. Like, they don't, like, hit a rough patch and then, okay, let's start playing well again. Once they go, they go. And I feel like the one thing they're holding on to now is haven't played an ACC game. If they lose this to the team that's in last place in the Coastal right now, I don't see how you come back from that. And I think historically what's forced the administration to make a change is everyone being pissed off and screaming. And you're going to have a fever pitch on Friday if this goes bad on Thursday. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to sit there and take it.
Well, here's the thing that kind of concerns me is like we see them in the administration, we see them consistently maybe not make the best decisions when it comes to hiring a head coach. I think, look, I'll be honest with you. I hate to say, Manny's on the hot seat and he's done a terrible job because he's done a lot of the right things, right? He's gone and he's gotten Rhett Lashley. He's gone and he's gotten T-Rob and he's gotten Garen Justice and he's gotten Rob Likens and all these guys that he needed to do that. And he went and he did the right thing. He said to himself, okay, well, the defense is not working with Blake Baker. Let me give it a shot and try to fix it. And I know Jock, who's not on here right now, kind of said that that's going to be his downfall. And so far, he's been right on the money with that, right? Like him having to coach, by the way, I'm bringing Jess Simpson back also. So he's been having to coach the defense, and he's not really doing a great job of coaching the whole entire team, right? There's rumblings that he's lost the locker room. There's rumblings that, there's all these guys want to transfer. And apparently it looks like Mark Pope is going to transfer soon, which doesn't surprise anybody, I'm sure. But we even saw him. We even saw him play cornerback last week, which was pretty interesting that we saw him with Isaiah Dunson or right before Isaiah Dunson. Point is, who's next in line? Paul, is it Rhett Lashley as the interim coach? Is he kind of auditioning for Woody? And I hate to get ahead of myself because we're kind of putting the horse, the cart before the horse here and saying, all right, Manny's already gone. Mm-hmm. But would it be Rhett Lashley kind of maybe not necessarily auditioning for the job at Miami, but just auditioning for a job in general as a head coach?
I honestly think it would be Lashley just because how fiery he is. It can't just be a very chill, complacent guy. I think that, if there is a guy on the staff right now to ignite the fire within this team that's somewhere, it would be Lashley. Hypothetically, if Miami does lose tomorrow, I think the only reason, let's assume they lose tomorrow. If Miami keeps Diaz, I feel like the only reason they would keep Diaz is to kind of, they wouldn't make a change until after the season, just because, a head coach being fired in the middle of the season, I feel like is very complicated, especially in college. And they're kind of just scrambling. It's funny you mentioned the whole bye week thing. That I don't even remember the last time I was excited about a bye week for Miami, because we all know what happens after a bye week. So that's the thing too. I mean, you guys already mentioned all the reasons too. Like what Mitch said, like it's Virginia allowed almost 700 yards of offense from North Carolina. Well, they were at 699 basically, but you get the gist. That's a crap ton of yards. That's ridiculous, And I think when it comes down to the whole thing about the measuring stick for Manny right now, or at least what has been the measuring stick the past few years, is can he win the important games? Can you? And it's not even just can he win the big games. It's just can he win the games he's supposed to win? And if he's still failing to do that in what year 3 or 4, I can't even remember how. I think probably 3 or 4, but whatever. You know what I mean. Year 3, it's still the same thing. It's still the same. The line is still kind of like here. There's no growth. There's a lot of dips, but there hasn't been much growth. And it's reached a point where he's made a lot of changes. He's made the right changes, but to me, my thing with Manny is that I don't think he's ready to be a head coach of a big program just yet. I still think he has a lot of learning to do. Although he's done the right things, making great hires, at certain positions. But when it comes to being the head honcho, the guy who overall has the most influence on the culture, around the program, I don't think he has that.
I gotcha. Before we let John go, I really want to get his take on not only tomorrow's game, but we mentioned this on your show as well as his depth chart. What were your surprises on the depth chart, if any, and what would you have liked to have seen? And then kind of just give me a roundabout of what you think that game's going to look like tomorrow night.
I'm surprised after the way he played that Ja'Kai Clark wasn't just named the starter. But then again, nothing from this coaching staff surprises me anymore. So there's that. I was pleasantly surprised to see James Williams' name in bold, as it should be. And yeah, I need to see a couple things I want to see. I want to see Brashard Smith returning kicks, and I need to see Chase Smith. And I need to see Chase Smith and Sam Brooks in that rotation and not Bradley Jennings.
Fair enough. I don't blame you there.
I don't ask for much,
Yeah, right. Well, none of us King fans ask for much, right? All we want is a national championship every damn week.
There's a few championships,
That's it. I do agree with you on Sam Brooks. I like that. We finally got to see him this year. Even though it was against CCSU. But look, here's the thing, Vish, right? And I kind of want to get your take on the depth chart also, and what you and if you want to give me a prediction or whatnot on this game tomorrow, that's fine also. John, I know you're not going to give me a prediction, so because you're not doing, I know you told me already, you're not doing any predictions, so that's fine. You just want them to win, right? You want to win. No matter what. Awesome. By the way, I know if you have to get going, man, you're more than welcome to. Whatever. I know it's kind of getting late, so
yeah, I gotta hop off. But
we appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, John.
Have a good night.
All right.
So Vish, as we were saying, the depth chart. Is there anything that you saw on that depth chart that was concerning, or maybe that was a positive, right? That you like, although obviously take the depth chart with a grain of salt. We get that because I'm the same. I feel the same way. Is there anything on that depth chart that kind of concerned you or made you feel good? And talk to me a little bit about what you want to see tomorrow night.
Well, I think grain of salt's the right word because it would look like it could have been from any week. Like there was very minimal changes. There have been throughout the year. I mean, the fact that we know King is injured and very unlikely to play and he's listed as the starter. I mean, to me, that's like red flag number one. You go with the top line, you're like, well, that's just lying to us.
Right.
So I think what I'd like to see is who actually plays in the game. Because that looked like a very familiar depth chart. A lot of these familiar faces that have been underperforming. And after what we saw over the weekend, you'd like to see some of the younger kids higher up the depth chart. But also, I think it's just how it plays. Like, we've listed backup running backs and then not played them. Are they actually going to get some carries, against a real opponent? So what I'd like to see is actually some of the people not in bold play significant and quality minutes and see what they've got. Because, that was almost indistinguishable from the depth chart we release every week.
I agree.
And that was the takeaway I had that the depth chart at this point is worthless.
Danny,
it's a gimmick.
Yeah, it really is. So that's how I feel. But Danny, should Ja'Kai Clark be the starting center right now?
Yeah, I think when you take a look at what he was able to do last week, and yes, It was Central Connecticut State, but he played well. And, it will be interesting to see with some of these decisions on the depth chart that the coaching staff has made, if it will change at any point depending on how this ACC schedule goes. Again, we go back to urgency. We go back to the fact that the conference is wide open this year. And we go back to the fact that, some freshmen performed really well last week. So as far as Clark goes, yes, I think he should be the starting center. And I'll be interested to see how the depth chart shakes up. And I think it will all depend on how Miami does moving forward over these next couple of weeks.
Paul, should Leonard Taylor be on the two deep on the defensive tackle position at defensive tackle? And two-part question. And why is DJ Ivey still in the two deep?
Well, I think it's no secret that Diaz he doesn't play favorites, but he does favorite the older guys, and I wish Diaz was more cutthroat about it. It's just like, if you shouldn't play if you're not good, like I think we were all kind of excited when we saw Ivy, obviously with another offseason what's the strength and conditioning coach.
Vish is laughing at you because you don't know anything about Miami. You don't know anything about Miami Hurricanes football.
Portland.
Stop it.
You don't know anything about Miami Hurricanes football anymore.
Ivy's muscles look huge now, but clearly that did nothing for his ability on the field. And I don't get it. Like, to me, it should be Reek and it should be Couch playing corner, And with Leonard Taylor, I don't know. I feel like Silvera is inconsistent sometimes. Like, I feel like he could definitely be a great bull rusher, but I just don't feel like he does it consistently enough where I'm like, I want that guy at least 2 of the 3 downs or all 3 downs on the field. You know what I mean? Same thing with Ford too. I just feel like there's not much progression with Ford. I do love Harrison Hunt. Harrison Hunt's like been a favorite of mine for a while.
Well, he's the best guy on that line. He's the best guy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But and I think I'm just still excited to see what a line with Harrison Hunt and LT would look like. Let's say maybe like towards the end of the season. I think even LT admitted in an interview that he's only about 50% comfortable with the playbook right now. I'm hoping he does get some run against Virginia. So, and hopefully the bye week helps. I mean, if that helps him learn the playbook. But by the end of the year, I want to see LT and Jared Harrison Hunt on the same defensive line as much as possible.
I think Leonard Taylor's issue was that he was playing too high. He was playing too tall at the beginning, and then he kind of got accustomed. He adjusted and he got accustomed to it, and he was able to play a lot better towards the second half. He actually played the most snaps out of anybody on defense. I think he was tied with a few other guys. So I like that. I like to see that. I think that Al Blades is ready, to be that number 3 guy right now. I again, saying I like what I saw from him last week is not saying much, but I like but still I like the physicality, right? And whether it was because this team was, could have lost the IMG had they played IMG, or whatever the case is, you saw a different level of not only physicality but just the team as a whole. They look more. What's the word I'm looking for, man? They look more upbeat. Vish, you're good with the big words. What do they look like?
Man, I don't know what you're trying to get at, though.
They look hyped. They look ready to go.
I was gonna mention that too, where I feel like earlier in the season, like obviously, like if you're on defense and your team makes a great play, you want to celebrate them with them. You want to hype them up. But I feel like I wasn't seeing a lot of that, even like on a normal tackle, like where just like a guy makes a tackle, didn't get any dap or any high fives whatsoever. It was just like whatever. And I feel like we kind of started seeing that more in this past game. If they make a direct tackle, if they make a tackle for loss, if they get a sack, like there was a little bit more. There's a little bit more celebrating, which was kind of nice because it kind of shows like how well connected and the brotherhood even with this team, which we kind of hope to see, especially if most of these guys are from South Florida. So hopefully this could, lead to something more later on as the team gets better.
I know obviously opponent matters, but we didn't. Those first 3 games, we never showed up to like impose our will on the opponent or try to, let's go give them let's punch them in the face. That never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Appalachian State, like we won, that game was they dictated it, and we hung on to win. Like so, this is again. We have to keep saying it because, like, what the hell is Central Connecticut State? But like, at least to your guys' point, at least we did go out there and push them around and look like we were having fun out there. Because the first 3 games really felt like a grind, like we were trying to survive it. And when you play teams that are not Central Connecticut State, like they're gonna give you a game doing that. That's why even Alabama, obviously, like no one expected to beat Alabama. The disappointment was we didn't even try to beat them.
Yeah.
We just went out there.
It's Alabama.
Yeah, we accepted it, and I felt like to a certain degree Michigan State as well. Like that running back was clowning us. Like someone knock his ass out. Like what are you doing? Like you want to see that, right? And we just hadn't seen it. So let's see if we can see some of that going forward. And I think overall blanket rule, no number 8s should play. That'll solve a lot of problems. If you're wearing number 8, stay on the sideline, and we're good.
Watch to see D. Wiggins throws on one of those kick return number 32s or something. It's like, where's number 8? No, I'm not here. And then he comes out to play, and then we see a dropper. We're like, who the hell is that number 32? Oh, of course, it's D. Wiggins. Unbelievable, man. It's true, though. No number 8 should play on our team this year. And for that matter, I mean, I don't know. The number 9 on the defense, Avery Huff. I need to see more from him. I mean, I think we've been talking about it for 3 years of how talented and how athletic Avery Huff is. And he got some playing time last week as well, but just not there, man. I want to see Sam Brooks play more. He's physical, he's strong. I mean, he's fast, he's physical. He likes to get dirty. The only thing is, can he stay healthy? Number 1, and number 2, can he play within himself, right? Not overrun too many plays. He's going to do it anyways because he's physical, because he's aggressive, but that's fine. I'd rather that happen than him kind of just stay back and be reactive on a play.
Mm-hmm.
So
we need that speed at linebacker. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Stuck in the mud all season, like chasing running backs, getting outrun by slow quarterbacks. Like, we need that speed in there. If we're overrunning the plays anyway. At least, like, get some speed out there.
I agree. And to John's point, Chase Smith, I love what he did last week again, obviously. But I've always liked Chase Smith. I think he's talented enough to play already. And to be honest with you, Amari Carter has probably been the best guy on defense for us, which is crazy to say, but he's played really well. He didn't play last week at all, and maybe against Michigan State didn't have his best game. I don't remember that far back anymore. But the fact that Gil Frierson is not playing that much, is kind of weird to me. I don't know, Vish. Is there anything that you can kind of lend to why? We're not seeing more of Gilbert Frierson as opposed to Amari Carter. Is it because of the physicality? Is it because they're playing him and they're playing that striker position just completely different than how they did last year?
I think Paul hit the nail on the head. Man, he loves his veterans and
seniority.
7th-year senior.
It's so stupid though. Frierson played so well last year at the striker position. Why are you going to screw that up now?
Well, I think he did. I want to say he started against Bama and he didn't look great, but. I haven't seen anything out of Carter that really is like, wow, he's really doing anything out there that wouldn't at least have me rotating him. But
yeah,
but Manny loves to lean on his seniors. Like, I think we're gonna see. I mean, I hope we see some of these young guys get more burn, but I have a feeling we're gonna see very similar to what he played against Michigan State.
I was gonna say the same old shit again, huh? Well, I guess we'll end it here and kind of talk, as to what you guys give me some predictions on the game and maybe who your kind of the standout player is going to be this year. Danny, we'll start with you.
Well, I think Virginia played Miami tough last year, and Miami always seems to, I don't want to say play down in the competition, but they always seem to have that one game or maybe several in this case where they seem to struggle. And I think Virginia, I think Miami has a talent to really kind of make this a blowout game, but I think Virginia will keep it close. I'm not very good with score predictions, I'll be honest. So I don't
think any of us are. So
I'm not going to make one of those, but I will say a player for Virginia that I am going to watch out for is the quarterback, Brennan Armstrong. He didn't exactly light up the stat sheet the last time he played Miami last year, but he did cause them a little bit of trouble, and he kept Virginia in the game. So I'll be interested to see how Miami kind of counteracts that and see if they can get a pass rush going, get Armstrong out of his rhythm, and hopefully shut down the Virginia offense.
Paul.
My hope is that Miami does not make Brandon Armstrong look like Dan Marino out there,
Yeah,
and
basically,
that
yeah.
and hopefully, because so far in the season, I think Virginia's running backs and receivers haven't really helped Armstrong that much, especially in the red zone where they've struggled the most. And it's with Armstrong throwing for like 300, 400 yards a game. Just I don't know. Thing is, for me also too, just I don't know what to get. I don't know what I'm getting from this team. I don't know what I'm getting from Miami. Any
Because you
week.
really can't gauge it based off of last week's game, right? So you're like, ah.
It's literally a wild guess because it's knowing what they're
You
capable
probably
of
weren't
versus
watching
what they've
anyways.
shown
You were
me.
probably watching the Oregon game anyways.
I was gonna bring out the hat too. I have an Oregon hat already. What's it called? I want to say Miami 30, Virginia 23. I want to see Miami get more vertical with TVD because I do think he's a really good thrower, and I think he definitely is a little bit better than Jake Garcia right now. I think he has a good amount of zip on his throws, and I'm banking that hopefully guys like Keyshawn Smith, a lot of the freshman receivers show out in this game as well, and it's less rely on guys like even like Mike Harley and Wiggins and all of them, and it just you kind of start to see more of what Miami's offense is capable of, and they kind of start to turn to guys that they know they can rely on. So I'm saying Miami 30-23 tomorrow night.
By the way, happy birthday to Keyshawn Smith. It's actually his birthday today, so well, happy birthday to him. But you know what I forgot to mention, and I was thinking about this a lot because I know we don't put a lot into last week's game. Again, I know we've said that like 28 times today, but the truth is, like, here's another thing that I noticed that maybe you guys either agree or maybe didn't notice as much, but the RPO, how successful was the RPO and how good the reads were from both TVD and Jake Garcia in the RPO. And I feel like I saw that clear as day. And number one, it could be the fact that TVD is 6'4" and Jake Garcia is 6'3", right? So they can kind of read the defense better than maybe De'Aaron King. I don't know. Maybe De'Aaron King's too hesitant on the RPO, but you saw these guys making plays, decisive plays. Reads. I'm sorry, not plays, but decisive reads on the RPO, whether to hold it, whether to give it to the running back, whether to take off with it, and you kind of saw. Obviously, there's a big component of that is the fact that. The defense for CCSU is terrible anyway, so they probably didn't key on their reads as well as they should either. But I kind of saw them making quicker reads on that, right, which helped them kind of spread the ball around and do what they did, score 69 points. So for me, I like to see that from the quarterbacks, regardless of who we were playing. I don't know, Vish, if you saw that, if you kind of noticed them making those reads and making better decisions with the ball in their hands, or if it was just a fact, the fact that we were playing who we were playing.
I think it's probably both. I think they were more decisive, like you said, but I think they could be because I honestly would wonder if, like, you sat down with Lashley, how many times they made the wrong read and it still worked because the other team sucks.
Right.
Like, because there were definitely, because you could see King clearly making the wrong read multiple times on that. You didn't really see that last week, so I definitely noticed that as well. Garcia had the long run where he got run down. There's been open space. King has actually ran the ball pretty well this year on scrambles and kind of freelancing, but on the RPO, he's hardly kept it. He used to keep it a lot more. He might be protecting his knee or something. I don't know. But that run that Garcia had, like, there's been similar when you roll the tape back opportunities for King that he hasn't taken. So I definitely did notice that. Now, if there's another opponent, are those lanes that open? Is it harder to do that? I don't know, but yeah, I thought they were definitely crisper in running it. I mean, the big thing for me with all of this is how does it look if there's pressure on them? Like, if the D line's getting into the backfield, if they're disruptive, how much does this speed up the clock? There was one possession where CCSU got a pass rush and they sacked TBD twice, and Wiggins dropped a pass. It was like a throwback possession. all in like 4th place. But like that was the only time I really recall them even getting in their airspace. So that'll be the big thing, because it looks like TBD is probably going to play, and I think we're all okay with that. But it's really that the offensive line can give him time. I think he'll be fine. And then once you start loosening the defense up, that's where that RPO really comes in, because then they're worried about the pass. If you can actually run the ball, they're worried about that. That's when it really opens up. The problem we've had this year is we can't run for shit, and it just brings the whole offense down, because they're not even respecting the RPO then.
Yeah.
So it's all related. So, and it all starts up front.
What's your take on this game? What do you got?
So, I know Paul mentioned like turning Brennan Armstrong into Dan Marino. He's actually throwing for like over 400 yards a game, so he's been lighting it up.
He's got 1,700 yards passing already.
Yeah. Now their downfall is they can't run at all. Like against North Carolina, they averaged barely a yard a carry. Like and so they're very one dimensional. So I agree with what Paul said with the I think they'll move the ball, but I think they have trouble getting it in the end zone, because you got to be able to run inside the 20. So I actually had a similar score prediction. I have it 27-23 versus 30-23 in favor of Miami, because I think Virginia will kick a bunch of field goals, and then that'll be enough for Miami. And also I do, famous last words, we might be on a stream next week. Like, I cannot believe we lost to Virginia, but I do actually like our offensive line against their defensive line. Their defensive line is really weak. They allow 200 yards a game on the ground, one of the worst in the country. Like, that whole front on their end is weak, and I think that'll help our young quarterback that I think we'll have some success running.
Yeah. I say it with hesitancy, right? Because I think Miami's gonna win this one handily. But I'm hesitant about it because we've all been burned by saying that before.
Yep.
So should they? Yes. Will they? Who the hell knows?
This is all the makings of you having a meltdown in the press box tomorrow.
That's why I'm not going to be in the press box much tomorrow night. All right, I'm telling you that right now. If I would never be allowed in there again, and with half the shit that I say while I'm sitting in the stands. Yeah, look, I think they're going to dominate. But at the same time, that's all going to depend on how they come out. Because if they come out flat as hell, how they've been coming out every game that they've played. I mean, whatever. Last week doesn't matter. Last week, us four could have played, and we probably would have beat them. So, if they come out and, as cliche as it sounds, because we say it all the time, punch them in the mouth and go up 14-17-0, then you've got an opportunity. You got a chance to come out and blow this thing open. If not, you're in for a tug of war again, like you did against Appalachian State. And it's the ACC, man. And this is not Appalachian State. This is UVA, who might stink, but at the same time, it's the ACC, man. And they're going to be better than what App State was. And they're going to beat you if you don't come out and you execute. And we'll see. I gave a score in John's show. I don't know if I want to give the same score here, but I will. Screw it. 34-17 Miami. That's what I think. So
that I think if it's something like that, like you described, come out, put some scores up, I think everyone will feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But we all know Virginia's not good, but I think even just showing a dominant performance against stringing two together, going into the bye week, I think you'll start get that positive momentum. There is a way we win this game, and everyone feels just as bad about the team afterwards. Like if we squeak something out, and it's just like, man, this is two bad football teams playing, then I don't think anyone's gonna feel great about it. It's better than losing, but
it's like if it's like 13-12. If it was
God.
like how we looked against them last year, right? If we replay that game right now, I don't think anyone's going to come away feeling positive. But if we actually dominate someone else other than CCSU, I think there's going to be – that's where you can maybe turn this season around. Because the ACC, like we keep saying
was
it.
The score last year.
Yeah,
19-14.
like a 19-14, and it was
ugly. That was an ugly 19-14.
That was an ugly game. Yeah. I think that was the one where we really kicked it up a notch with the drops, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yep. I remember screaming at my computer.
But that So I think if we really if we dominate that game and create some momentum, like everyone's been saying, the ACC, even Clemson's not good. Like it's there for the taking. So I mean, you could all of a sudden turn this thing around, or this could go the other direction.
Look, I don't know if I want to see. Not that I don't want to see all the young guys play, all the freshmen. but there's certain guys that I think we need to see play because they can make plays like Romello Brinson, Brashard Smith. I think we need to see those guys be out there and get significant snaps and be a part of the offense. Obviously, from the running perspective, Cam Harris, look, he looked good. Yes, again, he looked good last week finally, but that's not saying much. So I want to see Cody Brown. I don't know if we'll see a lot of Thad Franklin, but if we see Thad Franklin, I loved his game last week. I just love how he carries himself as a running back. I want to see those guys, and of course, I want
So,
to see
Jazz, let me
Knight.
ask you a question since you're always asking the question. How much do you think we see Knighton a lot, or how do you think we use him?
I don't know if we're going to see him a lot in the first game back. I think he'll get some time, and where we might see him is that on special teams, maybe doing some punt returns or kick returns as well. But will he get a lot of carries? I don't think he'll get. I think Cody Brown will out carry him, but he'll be in a lot of packages where we put him out, at the, run him out to the slot or do some swing passes and some dump offs to him to make some plays in the open field. I think that's what we're going to use him for. I don't think he'll get as many carries as maybe Cody Brown will. I like what I saw out of Cody Brown. He runs hard. He breaks tackles. He's a talented kid, man. He was one of the best running backs in Georgia last year. So I think that having him and giving him some more carries, I think will be good for the Canes. Thanks for asking me the question. I appreciate it. Anybody else want to ask me something?
You're always lobbing them at us. I was like, well, you're talking running backs. We hadn't really mentioned that.
I appreciate it. Would you rather see Cody Brown or Thad Franklin?
Definitely Brown after what we saw last week. But I definitely don't want just Cam Harris getting all the carries. I think
Please
we got to do some rotation.
Please God no.
Even if he's playing well, because he's like so schizophrenic, like. One of the advantages of having a deep running back pool is you wear the defense down, and you don't do that if you're just using one guy.
Right. Yep, I agree. Thank you guys for joining us, man. I appreciate it. It's always fun. Thanks for Paul joining us live from the University of Oregon over there. We appreciate it.
This was some ploy for Paul to go grab Cristobal and yank his ass back to Miami. I'm all on board.
Ethan really secretly placed him in Oregon, right? Like this is all 5 Reasons Sports.
I'm keeping tabs with Mario in case that job opening pops
I
up.
will say this though: if you have an extra Oregon hat around there, man, you can send it over my way. I'll send you my address. I love that. It's an awesome hat. Whatever.
I'll let you know.
Half the people won't know over here, but half the people will be like, "Bring Cristobal back." That's all they're gonna say, right? So
that's why we're really wearing it.
The closest Miami's gonna come to winning anything this year is Cristobal.
Right. Look, here's the thing.
Cristobal
right?
for recruits.
We could put Miami Alumni Association champion on there, and that's as close as we're gonna get.
Listen, if any recruits are watching this right now, which none are. But if any recruits are watching this and you're thinking about going to Oregon, think about this. You could always just come to Miami next year and play for Mario Cristobal here. Why go to Oregon, right? When you can just play for
Rio's recruiting you to come to Miami, actually. He's in Oregon now, but he'll be in Miami next year. Watch.
Devin Jackson, I know you're down to Miami, Oregon, and Arizona State. Just, do the right thing.
Palm trees.
Yeah. Play for Miami and Mario Cristobal next year.
I think we just need Paul to just, shit on Oregon for the next 20 minutes and just be like, I hate it here. I should be back in Miami. Sell it.
So we can post
it. It has been very cold and rainy the past few days. It's the least ideal weather for me. I don't mind one or the other, but together it's really annoying.
That's
50s and rainy. Not fun.
I'd rather be in Boston. I'd rather be in Boston, baby. Ain't that right, Danny Gillette?
But the weather's about the same here, so.
Oh, shit.
Just wait till the winters, Paul. Just wait till the winters.
All three of you are screwed. I'm over here in the palm trees, man.
It's still in the 60s here and not cold yet, so I'm still okay.
60s is nice.
Listen, I had a breeze while I was walking or running yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, this is so nice." I checked the temperature; it says 82. I'm like, "Fuck my life." Unbelievable.
Poor baby, 82. Oh,
no, man. Listen, man. Listen, I love the fall seasons and stuff. I wish we had that down here, man. I'm very basic when it comes to those things. All right. Just
but when it's minus 10 outside, 82 sounds great. So.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. You're right. Anyways, I know we digressed there. We got into what is a meteorology show?
I mean, there's
What the
only
hell?
the ACC opener tomorrow. We gotta talk about the weather. You know, we got nothing else to talk about.
The weather's probably going to be really beautiful here tomorrow night, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Six Rings Canes. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a new head coach a win for the Miami Hurricanes. We'll be talking about that, and make sure you check us out on Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and check us out. Appreciate it. Thank you guys, Danny Gillette, Paul, Vish. You guys are awesome, man. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Take it easy.